Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to today's webinar on the topic Mental Health and Cybersecurity, led by our practice lead forensics, Lionel Faleiro. The whole world has been seized by the fear of pandemic, and this has led to increased levels of anxiety, panic attacks, and mental burnout. So in today's webinar, we shall see how to cope up with these anxieties and work-related stresses to have an enhanced level of work-life balance. So without any further ado, I request Lionel to kindly take over. Over to you, Lionel.
Thank you, Anurag. So, good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing awesome. And I shall be taking you all through this entire session on mental health and how the mental health in the cybersecurity can be looked at over here. A brief background about myself is that I have been in the IT and cybersecurity field for almost 10 years right now. I'm the current practice lead for forensics, and my key domain, which I've worked in, is basically incident response, security analytics training. I'm a gamer, I'm a photographer, and I'm also been an ex-professor teaching various colleges. What I'm about to talk to today is not I'm not a medical professional, but what I'm about to talk to on today is basically all that is coming from my experience. Now, when we ask someone a question, what does it mean to be healthy? What does normally come up into your mind? Uh, I am fit, I am fine, I'm doing all right. So, like, what exactly comes up into your mind? So, first thing first is that this obviously comes up into the mind that I am someone who constantly does exercises. I constantly do skipping rope, I do planks, I do Zumba, I do different things to keep myself physically fit. But we but we don't look at health from an overall perspective over there. We don't see that what else is part of being healthy. Being healthy is not just being physically fit, but also means being mentally fit as well. So, what do we think? What can I say is mental health about? So, mental health is basically the person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well being. So, what does this mean? Like, how does a person think? How does he solve logic? How does he respond to emotional stimulus? Is he sad? Is he happy? How is he with others? Is he able to interact well with others? Like what exactly is his mental state? And the mental state can be good or it can be bad, and the mental health can be also affected by different mental illnesses. So when we talk about mental illnesses or mental disorders, there are a lot of mental illnesses out there. So it is also called as a mental disorder. And they are basically a range of conditions that affect the mood, a person's behavior, a person's thinking over them. And one important thing to note is that when we talk about mental illnesses or mental disorders, these need to be diagnosed by a mental healthcare professional. Now, what are the different types, or maybe I could say like a subset of different types of mental illnesses that are out there? We have anxiety, we have depression, we have bipolar disorder, we have PTSD, that is post traumatic stress disorder, and there are innumerable different sort of mental illnesses. Now, coming to the facts of mental illnesses, when I look at India alone, In 2019, there have been an average of 381 suicides per day. Mental illnesses affect people irrespective of their age, their gender, their race, their religion, or the income bracket. It affects everyone. There's no exclusion list. If you go out and get the treatment, almost 70 to 90% of people who seek proper treatment will witness a significant decrease in the amount of symptoms that they face. And many of them can go out and lead highly productive lives despite the challenges they face. Another thing of importance for me to mention here is that being lesbian, gay, bi, trans isn't a mental illness at all. For this next part, I had to reach out deep and talk to someone about their experience with mental illness. So there was a boy who had a very tough time going to college and going to work. He used to be very anxious, like he used to be scared of taking challenges. He used to always worry like what would others think about him. He would like constantly like the moment an exam came across, he would have this sort of fear that he would fail the exam in spite of him being a good student. He used to constantly have this sort of, he would move between being very depressed and being very happy. He used to have these sort of memory gaps. He used to forget things very easily or used to remember things very well. He used to have problems interacting with people. He used to have issues trying to find a connect with people. He used to be either very empathetic or maybe apathic. And so I asked him like, how has it been for him? And like, what did he face through? So he 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 was very scared about this entire thing, about these feelings he's been going through and all of these things which he's been going through. And for a long time, he never knew what did they mean because he never had some sort of guiding light over there. So I just asked him, like, growing up, how did it feel for you? Like, what did you go through? So these are the few things that he told me that were told to him. You are crazy. You have lost your marbles. You are so useless. You can't even clear your exams. Look at him. Like, he couldn't clear an exam and he failed his exams, even though he was a bright kid. You only sleep around the whole day. There's no such thing as depression. And you are possessed. When I mentioned at the start that I am talking about experience, this kid was me. So I have anxiety, I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and I have bipolar type 2 disorder. Now, it took me a long time for me to come forward and try to find some help. So, why did it take me a long time? It took me years, almost half a decade, for me to actually start finding out about it. The main thing that it took me time was the stigma. When you talk about mental health, a lot of people throw a lot of words around. First thing first is you're shamed for battling a mental health illness or seeking help. The moment you tell someone that I'm feeling very sad or I'm feeling very low, then you are just told like, no, you are just lying, or that you are just feeling like that, or there's no such thing as being depressed, or there's no such thing as feeling low. It's all in your head. You should man up. You cannot go to someone. You cannot go to a therapist. You should not be doing that. What will people think about you? And the stigma can come from anywhere and anyone. It can be from your friends, it can be from your family, it can be from your work colleagues. Even the person who you did not feel would be this pinpoint of the stigma, like your best friend, this stigma could come from them as well. The third thing is you tend to be stereotyped. So, what do I mean stereotype? You tend to be put into this box that defines you. So, if someone told me that if I told someone that I am having depression, they would automatically associate being depressed with someone being very lazy. Or if I told someone that I am having anxiety issues, they would term me as being a cowardly person, of having no guts, no heart. The second thing that prevents people from going out and seeking help is that for a very long time we did not have these resources available. We didn't have the resources available pushed out to people that okay, depression is okay, anxiety is okay, stress is okay. These are the resources you can refer to that will help you or that will guide you further down the road. We did not have these resources for a very long time, or it was not made publicly available to us, or we were just scared for just reaching out for them and then utilizing those resources and reaching out for help because of the stigma. And when we look at these mental illnesses, one thing I really put forward is that whatever you're going through, whatever we are going through, we are never alone. Something that I may be having, you also may be having the same condition. If I have to project this onto somebody who is maybe a celebrity, these are the different celebrities and these are the different conditions or the illnesses they have battled with. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, the guy who's the most obnoxious, annoying, laughable Marvel character on screen, and he faces anxiety. Lady Gaga, the most beautiful singer in terms of voice, in terms of largest of range, she has battled depression and anxiety. Carrie Fisher, our own Star Wars Princess Leia, she has battled bipolar disorder. So, as I mentioned, and last of all, Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix battled mood swings. If you have read his lyrics, if you've seen his songs, you will find traces of his mood swings in his songs over there. So, mental illnesses, as I mentioned before, does not target a specific income bracket, a specific age, gender, race, religion. It targets everyone. We just need to go out and try to find out what exactly it is troubling us. Now, since this is a talk on cybersecurity, how are these mental conditions affecting the people working in cybersecurity? So when I'm looking at mental health and cybersecurity, these are the five, I can say, main points I can look at. I can talk about imposter syndrome. Stress is now on a tipping point because of the current pandemic. We have burnout, we have anxiety, we have cyber-PTSD, which I'll be going through. Imposter syndrome. Let me let me just highlight the elephant in the room. Imposter syndrome is something that I believe all of us have gone through at one point or the other in the career. And the imposter syndrome is something where we are constantly looking down at our own performance. We feel like we have not achieved much. We feel like our performance isn't good. We constantly try to compare ourselves with others. I may just have started out in the industry, but I may end up comparing myself with somebody who's been in the industry for maybe 10 years or 15 years or etc. etc. I will try to compare myself with peers and I'll try to judge that my performance is very bad. It is not satisfactory to me. My performance is like totally rubbish. And I do know some amount of information in my mind. I do know I'm able to elaborate those things. I'm able to speak about those things. But you constantly have this fear in your mind that people will find out that you're a fake person. People will find out that you do not know things which they know. It's okay not to know everything. Your learning skill is different than some other person's learning skill over there. And because of this imposter syndrome, you have this self doubt inside of you that I cannot do this. Even if I try to attempt this new task with my which my manager has given or this new certification which has come out, I definitely know that I will not clear those tasks or those certification exams. This is what imposter syndrome does to you. It gives you this sort of self doubt inside of you where you look down on your own achievements, where you look down on your own performance, and you tend to believe that others deserve this. You might have gotten promoted to a nice new position with new responsibilities, but you may be feeling fake. You may feeling that I do not deserve this position. Maybe ABC person should have deserved this position. That is your imposter syndrome talking to you. So how can I break this apart? I can break this apart into two sections. What is our thinking? Oh, dude, I got help. That is why it was very easy for me to do. It is a very simple task. It was just mere luck that I uh, did this investigation, that I found this sort of alert in the system over there. And what is our coping mechanism? Procrastinate, procrastinate, procrastinate. We will stop taking any sort of initiative to do something new. We will just push on tasks to be done later. We will not take on new tasks. We will feel bad about ourselves. We will, as I mentioned, we will look down among ourselves. This is how we tend to cope when we look at imposter syndrome. But what is the proper coping mechanism for imposter syndrome? First thing first, you need to understand when it is happening. You need to understand that sort of fear, that sort of guilt that is coming up inside of your mind that is stopping you from doing things which you can do and which you have done very well. You need to also understand that you are not alone in this. That the same thing that you are feeling right now is the same thing that has been felt by many others in your own level, in your own field, in your industry, in different places around. And imposter syndrome is not just a work oriented type of thing. Imposter syndrome can be even a school oriented thing, it can be a college oriented thing as well over them. You also need to understand that no one is perfect. When you talk about being perfect or being perfectionism, that also ends up playing a part into the imposter syndrome. No one is perfect. We are constantly learning, we are constantly evolving, and we are constantly changing because of that. When we talk about achievements, always journal the smallest achievements. In imposter syndrome, we tend to create this sort of uh, very large milestone or large achievement that we need to cross against. And when we fail to cross that, then we start judging ourselves. Do not do that. Create these smaller milestones over there. Cross the smaller milestones. As you cross those smaller achievements, note it down, keep a track of it. And whenever you feel bad that you are not capable of doing something, look at that journal of yours. Understand that how far you have come since the start till now. You will definitely feel good. Also, say yes. If somebody is giving you a task and you're going to learn something out from it, say yes. If you are getting an opportunity to teach someone some new topic, to mentor someone, say yes. Take that leap. You will definitely feel better and you will feel really good after you start taking those initiatives about it. When you start talking about it, uh, when you look at these TV shows and stuff, you have a lot of these shows having this sort of group meetings where people sit down in circles and they talk about what they're going through. So why do they do that? They have that thing so that people talk about it, so other people can listen to it, and so other people can also know that they are not the only one going through it, and that they can also maybe inspire someone else over them through what they are faced with, and they will also learn about how to work, how to wade through those waters. I've also mentioned that we are all learning. Learning is a constant process. It is never going to stop. It's always going to keep on happening and happening and happening. Uh, where if you're working in incident response, you might have learned something new today, which you might not have learned before, or something or the other over there. Each day is a new learning experience for you. Do not look back on it saying that I should have learned this before. I did not learn this before. I'm doing it right now. No, don't think about it. Look forward in life. And please be kind to yourself. Everyone is going through different things. Everyone has different mindsets. They have different skill levels. They have different interests. They have different ways of dealing with themselves. Be kind with yourself. The next important part which I want to talk about is stress. Now, what is stress? When we look at stress, stress is basically some sort of pressure that is coming on to us. And when pressure is coming on to us, it depends upon how we cope with it. Now, stress can be looked at in two ways. It can be a positive type of stress, or it can be a negative type of stress over there. When I'm looking at negative stress is something that will probably be a long term type of thing where uh, the more pressure applied to you, you slowly start to be unable to cope with that sort of stress over there. And one thing to understand is that when I'm talking about stress, different people react differently to the same situation. And when you talk about stress as well, stress also has severe effects on the physical health. So, what do I mean it has effects on the physical health? When you're stressed out, you can get headaches, you can get breathlessness, you can have chest pain, you can have a loss of appetite, etc. Why do you think that when you go to a heart specialist, the heart specialist tells you to go and do the stress management test where they make you run on a treadmill? They're basically testing what is the effect of stress on your heart, on your blood vessels. That is what stress does. The more amount of stress you take upon you, if you're not able to cope with it, it will then pose severe physical effects on your heart, on your blood system, and all over them. Now, the definition of stress has totally changed when we look at something that is COVID. How has COVID changed this entire environment? First thing first is the risk of being exposed to COVID. When I'm looking at COVID, because COVID is now all around us, we are constantly worrying about being infected by the virus, our friends, our families being affected by it. This constant worry is there in our mind. We are always constantly trying to think about how do I take care of my family and myself while also working. What do I balance? Do I pay attention to work more? Do I pay attention to myself more? Do I pay attention to my family more with them? And you also have this uncertainty about your future. Will you have your job? Will you get money? Are you going to be healthy? Are your family members going to be healthy? What? And because we have moved to this work from home system, we are now trying to adapt to a new schedule and a new environment where The environment has totally changed than what used to be our office setup. Our office setup might have had a good table and a good chair, but our home environment must be totally something else. You may be having kids running the house, you may be having your pets running around the house, and then they may be disturbing you and all. Like you constantly thinking, how do you work with this? And then, last but not least, you're constantly dealing with tech issues, whether it's connectivity to your office network, whether it is on conference call with people or with your clients or what over there. And last but not least, you're constantly worried about being productive during COVID. You look at yourself and then you see that you're not done much, you're not learned anything new, but there are other people who are learning much more. They're doing people who are doing a lot of certifications and a lot of learnings and all. And then you compare yourself with them that, oh man, they've done so much certification, they've done so much learning. I wish I could have been like them. I wish I could have done things like them. And you this comparison will create stress in you as well. Now, talking about stress, I come to a next topic. Growing up, when I thought about the word burnout, to me, burnout meant a car having a burnout like this, where the wheel is spinning and it is just spinning on the road. Or I thought about the burnout game, which is basically a game where you have cars smashing against each other to win races over there. But as I grew up, I came to know about burnout is something else. Burnout has Burnout is also related to stress, and burnout has a lot of causes to it. You're working long hours because of this work from home environment. You might have been maybe working 9 hours before, now you may be extending yourself to maybe 11 or 12 hours over there. That is one issue. Hectic environment. We are constantly working in an incident response or a blue team environment where we're constantly being attacked. Because of attacks, we're constantly being under pressure to defend the organization from those sort of attacks over there. And we also having a huge workload come upon us, which we also call as alert fatigue, where the number of alerts are more than what we can process. And burnout is basically our reaction to constant job stress. So the more the amount of stress that gets dumped on us, the more pressure we have to defend the organization, the more longer hours we work, the more amount of data that is hitting us. This all creates burnout in us. So how do I identify signs of burnout? First thing first, I will have this sort of emotional and physical exhaustion over there. I will not want to work. I can't think straight. I can't work straight. I am totally emotionally drained. I'm unsatisfied. I will isolate myself from interacting with others. I will have this hatred for my job. I will be like, I'm not doing anything new over here. I'm not contributing much over here. And then because of that burnout, you will feel less like doing more tasks. You will feel less capable of doing tasks that are given to you or tasks that you want to undertake or learnings you want to undertake over there. And this is all because of the constant stress that is hammering at you. And as I mentioned, stress can also be external also. For example, the want to be perfect or the perfectionist thing can also be one external stress that contributes to burnout. Or some other stress, maybe some issue at home, in the family, that also can contribute to the stress you face at work. So, how can I or a manager ensure that this burnout thing is not happening? First thing first is that if you know that there's some sort of task that is constantly being repeated, which is like boring you out or which is tiring you out, try to do some sort of automation. Let us say, for example, is if you having a list of IP addresses that you want to check every day whether this is part of a blacklist or not, instead of manually going to a blacklist site and searching it, you can easily create maybe a Python script which will do a query against a blacklist API and give you an entire result set that this is a blacklisted IP or not. Take time of your schedule to educate others. Teaching others will give you this sort of sense of satisfaction that you're able to pass on what you have learned to them. It also helps you to learn something new. Like there have been when I have training sessions and when the people attending my sessions ask me questions, there are many questions which I may not know, but by them asking those questions, I learn something new from those questions over there. You need to take time out to learn something new. You have a busy schedule, plan things out well. It is okay to take a break. Take a break, create a plan for yourself, learn something new. When I'm saying learn something new, it does not mean just learn something technically or cybersecurity related. It can be very simple. It can be maybe you want to learn some arts and craft like carpentry, or maybe you want to learn to play a new musical instrument like a piano or a ukulele. Learn anything new. You need to have a proper work life balance where you properly segregate your work things from your personal life. You need to recognize people for their achievements. People are doing a lot of good work in the organizations, in your teams. Recognize them, be there for them, highlight their achievements, make them feel good. And last but not the least, mandatory personal time off. Nobody should look at you with some sort of bad perspective when you ask for leave, whether you will ask for 1 day leave or a 7 days leave or a 2 weeks leave. If you feel you require a long leave, please take that leave if that will help you feel better, if that will make you feel good about yourself. Never be afraid to request for leave. Next part, anxiety. Anxiety is basically when I'm having excessive worry or when I'm having excessive fear over there. When I'm talking about excessive, it is basically going to be uncontrollable. I will not know. It'll be uncontrollable type of expectation for me. I'll have this excessive fear. I'll have this constant worry, this sort of dread that is there in my chest. And you have definitely felt this growing up. Like you'll have studied for an examination and you'll have come to give the exam on the examination day. What have you felt? You have basically felt this sort of sensitivity to your surroundings. You'll feel like this sort of you'll have this sensitivity to light, to noise over there. You will have this sort of restlessness that this is the exam day. I don't think I'll be able to do it. You'll have this heaviness in your chest. You will have difficulty in swallowing. You may not feel like eating something before that important event. You will feel this sort of tense muscles, whether it's in your neck, in your back, or in your arms, or in your legs, or anywhere. And you'll have this excessive sweating because you're constantly worried and constantly tensed up over there. And when you look at anxiety, anxiety has different other categories. There are panic disorders, there's post traumatic stress disorder, and there's obsessive compulsive disorder over there. When you come to PTSD, PTSD is basically a disorder that is caused by some sort of traumatic event. If I look at it from the military terms of perspective, it is also called as battle fatigue or shell shock. And PTSD, someone with PTSD has these sort of distressing memories about certain events or certain incidents that have happened with them. And because of those incidents and those events, they have this constant fear, this helplessness, the horror. And something is there that looks like that event or will probably trigger those memories of that past event, you basically have this fight or flight type of response where you will relive this entire traumatic incident in your mind, and you will try to do as much as possible to avoid coming into contact with people or with anything that is related to that specific incident. So how does this factor into my cybersecurity? So like how we have PTSD, we also have something which I've coined up as cyber PTSD. So what is cyber PTSD? Is it something related to Ghost in the Shell? Is it something related? Is it something that robots and androids go through? Like what is it exactly? When you look at cyber PTSD or PTSD, PTSD is not just something that is faced by people who undergo traumatic events. It is also something that is faced by people who are the first responders who respond to these sort of traumatic events, be it the firefighters, be it the medical professionals. Similarly, in cybersecurity, we have our defenders and we have the offensive team over there or the attackers over there. And our incident responders and our SOC team are basically the first responders over there. They are constantly being hit with, as I mentioned, with a lot of alerts, with a lot of incidents happening over there. Now, let us say, for example, if there's an incident that has come up, let us say, for example, a data breach. Data breaches are now happening almost every alternate day. We every day you'll open a news, you'll see some data breach happening over there. So when these data breaches happen, who do you think is the most effective? The most effective is obviously the people in the incident response team, the SOC team, the IT team, who are responsible, who are now responsible for fighting against that incident, for blocking, for performing the remediation steps to patch the system from any sort of vulnerabilities and all. Now, what if this similar incident happens again? You already have this one incident that is already stuck in their mind. A second incident, if it happens again, will totally push them off the edge over there. So once an incident becomes like a traumatic event to the person in a blue team, they will constantly be super vigilant, hyper vigilant, I could say. They'll be constantly like worried, okay, that they will constantly doubt whether this new alert that has come, is it legitimate, is it bad, is it malicious or what over there. They will have they will have disturbed sleep. They will constantly doubt themselves again, and they will have anger that okay, I've had this incident first. I should have been able to block that incident. I should have been able to detect the incident, but I was not able to. They will have this sort of anger on themselves, and down the line they will try to, if something similar comes up, because it is still stuck in the mind, they will try to avoid it. They will try to avoid working on those alerts, avoid working on those sort of events over there, and just maybe want somebody else to work upon it. So what can somebody who's facing anxiety or PTSD do? As I kept on mentioning, you talk about it, talking about it will help you to a certain extent, make you feel better, will help you get a perspective from others, like how you should deal with such similar things in the future over there. There's no harm in taking time off. Take as much of time off as you want. When you are sick, you need to you need to take time off to fix, to get better. If you just drown yourself in work, you are preventing yourself from healing, you're preventing yourself from getting better at all, and that will delay your healing process. The same thing goes for any sort of mental illnesses or mental problems. The moment you identify it, you need to take the immediate steps to help yourself to get better. Take the time off, invest in the time to get better over there, and then you can then think about coming back and doing your task. You should always understand what are your strengths and what is your weaknesses over there and play to your strengths. You have control over the environment. Whenever you tend to feel anxious or you tend to get a sort of anxiety attack over there, try to think of something that helps you keep yourself grounded. It may be a thought of a friend, a good memory that you had. Think of something that makes you feel good, that puts a smile on your face, that helps you understand that you are capable, that you are much more worthy of what you're going through. And because you're working in an incident response team, you are part of a team, and all of you are a part of a team. So having a team discussion, understanding that you all are doing good is also a good way of going forward. Now, the important thing is that when you talk about stress and all of this, as I mentioned, we need to look at work life balance. So, how can I look at work life balance? First thing first, always prioritize your health and your family's health. Your job is not important, your health is important, your family's health is important. Give yourself the time to recuperate, to get better, and then get back into the job. Then try to prioritize the tasks. So if you know that there are certain tasks which are doing very well, which you may do, which you may do very well, try to prioritize maybe at the start of the day or maybe at the end of the day over there. This is very important. Whatever work hours you have, whether it's a 9 to 6 or whether it's a shift, only work within those work hours. Don't stretch yourself out of those work hours. If you've taken off, if you've taken PTO, if you've taken off over the weekends, please enjoy your time off. Spend time with your family. Spend time interacting with each other, with different people. Do something that calms you, that soothes you. Read a book, watch a movie, watch some sort of web series, but give yourself time to be with yourself. Make sure that your environment is very comfortable, that you're able to sit properly, that you're able to work properly, that you're able to use your keyboard, your mouse, anything properly. Have some sort of comfy environment. As much as possible, try to use technology. As I mentioned in the earlier aspect, if you can automate something, use automation. If you've been used to creating reports in Excel and CSV, probably you could look at some other program for creating the automated report, like Power BI is one example that you could use for doing it. If you if you if you want to take meetings, instead of taking meetings on call, set up calendar meetings in Teams and take meetings on Teams with the team over there. Have this energy based task division. So, what I tend to do is that when I start my day, I basically create a group of tasks: high energy, medium energy, and low energy. And I allocate tasks into these groups. So, if some task that is requiring a high amount of energy for me, I will probably schedule those tasks at a time of day when I'm the most energetic over there, maybe at the start of the day. And tasks which require the lowest energy, I'll schedule it at the end of the day. Similarly, everyone has a different working style. Some may be some may prefer working more better in the later half of the day, and they may have less energy in the start of the day. That's okay. Just have a proper breakup of your tasks over there. Take breaks. We are not machines. We are human beings. We do need to take breaks to ourselves. We need to take those breaks, enjoy those breaks, and have a chit chat with your family, talk with friends, talk with anyone. Just take that. If you're working 9 hours a day, just take that 1 hour break mandatorily and spend time with yourself, relaxing. Learn to say no. This is one thing which I believe everyone and all of us have had a time saying. We have a hard time saying no to things. Maybe a task may come right uh, at the end of the week for us to perform, and then we have the entire weekend which we want plan to work upon. You can say no. You can also request that, okay, I'll not do it today. Can I just do it on Monday or Tuesday? If you plan something, please do not break your plans. Please try to manage that specific task among the other events among your time. Else, if you just keep on saying yes, yes, yes to everything that comes to you, you will not get the time to spend to yourself. You will end up being burnt out as well. Exercise is very important. We are all locked up in a house. We need to constantly be exercise. We need to exercise ourselves, whether it is maybe doing meditation or breathing or maybe just few planks or few push-ups or anything at home. Keep yourself active at home. Eat a healthy diet. Drink a lot of water. Try to keep yourself as comfortable as possible. Now, what can managers do with respect to all of this? How can managers help with mental health type of things? Try to have virtual social events. Managers, you'll have a team. Just say no to having formal meetings. Have an informal meeting, maybe on a Friday. You can have just maybe some. You can have everyone join that informal Teams call. You have people turn on the webcam. You just see them. You interact with them. Why not have maybe like a pizza party or maybe have some sort of lunch type of session where you'll sit across each other on the webcam and you'll have lunch, or you'll discuss things, or if you'll have some sort of skills, like if you know how to play a ukulele, you can play a ukulele and let other people listen to you. Try to have some sort of social event which will get your team interacting with each other. We are now isolated, we are now divided. It becomes very hard for everyone to sync up with each other. These sort of events help keep everyone in high spirits. You need to look for behavioral changes in your team members. You understand that there's a behavioral change, you reach out to your team member over there, you reach out to your team member and you try to find out what exactly is happening to them. Are they going through something? Are they going through something bad over there? How can you help them in those sort of things over there? What can be done? You need to conduct trainings. Right now, this is the time when everybody is wanting to be mentored, everyone is wanting to learn something new over there. You need to conduct trainings over there, upskill themselves, upskill your team members, teach them something new. It does not need to be just a technical training, it can be a training with some other thing. See what the team wants, see what the individual wants, conduct surveys, plan for maybe certification. If people want to do certification, have maybe like a study group created and let everybody work together and study together. You need to give positive encouragement. When I'm talking about positive encouragement means positive support. There is two different things. There's a positive support and there is toxic positivity, which I'll be covering on further over there. Be positive to people, encourage them, look at them for their good aspects. Don't look at them in a negative light. Definitely, they have some good, your team members have some very good aspects in them. As I said, you find ways to reduce their workload. If you're able to make their workload less, you will help them feel much more happy about themselves. Be compassionate, be human. We are managers, we are human beings. It is our duty to look at people with empathy, to be there for our team members, to be as supportive as possible, to give them all the support that they need. Mentor people. If somebody requires improvement, be there, give them the guidance for them to improve themselves, for them to learn better. If someone is going through something, give them a year. Just be there for them. Just by having a ear for them to listen, for them to speak to, will definitely, I feel, make them feel a bit better that there's someone listening or willing to listen to them. Look at it with an optimistic mindset. Okay, let us say, for example, your team has not done good maybe this week, but they have not done good this week. They might have done very well maybe in the weeks before, or they may do extremely well in the weeks coming. Look at it with an optimistic mindset. Try to enjoy the small victories, whether it is your team members' victories, whether it's a team victory, or whether it is some sort of achievement of members in your team. Someone has cleared a certification exam. It's awesome. Be happy for them. Somebody is maybe getting married. It's another victory, not just for them, but also for the team. Be there to enjoy each and every victory, big or small, whether it's a team based victory or it's an individual victory. What can we do as people? Take regular detachment breaks. Take breaks from news, take breaks from work. If you're a person who utilizes social media a lot, I definitely guarantee if you take a break from social media for maybe a few weeks, you may start feeling better about yourselves. If you have to use social media, I would really suggest that you have proper filters implemented so that you know what you're looking into. You need to have a proper work life balance, which I've explained earlier how you can achieve that. You do need to talk to peers. You're feeling something bad, you're feeling down. No matter whatever you're feeling, talk to your peers, talk to your managers, talk to your friends. Tell them what you're going through. Ask them how they can help. See what advice, what suggestion they can give to you, how they can improve your life. As I said, maintain a journal. You note down your biggest achievement, your smallest achievement. You note down what you're grateful for. You note down everything. You note down your feelings also in this journal. And anywhere down the line, if you feel that maybe you have seen that a lot of events are happening, there are a lot of feelings that are happening over there, which you probably may require help, then you can please feel free to reach out to some sort of mental health expert, whether it's a therapist or whether it's a psychiatrist, who will then help you with different coping mechanisms, whether it is just by talking and understanding your mindset or by suggesting different sort of medications over them. And as I said, being a ear to someone goes a very long way. Be there for someone, listen to them. You may not know what to say to them, but just being able to sit there listening to them will definitely give them some sort of comfort that, okay, I can vent out, I can just speak my mind out. Self care is important. You need to take care of yourself, whether it's your diet, whether it's your exercise, whether it's taking time for yourself. Spend taking me time, learn something new, learn an instrument, take time off, try to re energize yourself. Now, I was talking earlier about being supportive to people. So, what are different ways I can be supportive to? The correct way and the wrong way. So, correct way. I know it is hard. You have done hard things before, but we believe you in you. What is the wrong way of offering support? You will get over it. Correct way. It is normal to feel this way right now. How would be the bad way of handling this? Don't be so much negative. There have been bad things, but what do you think were the good things? Just be positive. The column on the right is the wrong way to handle situations, whereas the column on the left is the proper way how you need to interact with people in terms of situations over there. Coming up to me wrapping off this session, these are some of the important quotes which I feel. First thing is that the humanity we all share is more important than the mental illnesses we may not. We are human. We need to be there for each other. You need to understand that a mental health illnesses don't define you. Being depressed, being anxious does not define who you are. It is just something that you're experiencing. You are not your anxiety, you are not your depression, you are not your bipolar disorder, you are not your PTSD. A third quote which I really love a lot is by Keanu Reeves, who people know very well. He's been through a lot, and he always constantly gives back to the society in whatever way possible over them. If you have been brutally broken, but you still have the courage to be gentle to other living beings, then you're a badass with a heart of an angel. And finally, closing, when we talk about mental health, we need to have more sunlight, we need to have more candor, and we need to have more conversations about this topic. We need to stir the pot, we need to get people aware about mental health issues. We need to make it wide open so that people feel comfortable about discussing it, about talking about it in whatever circle, whether it is with their friends, with their families, with their workplace, or anyone. And these are some very useful resources which I found. The fourth link, which is there, is basically a list of mental health practitioners in India. It's basically a Google Doc that has a list of different therapists and psychiatrists with the uh, different fees they have, what topics do they deal with, are they trauma specific, are they LGBT friendly or what? It's everything is there in that list. So if you do want to reach out to maybe a mental health practitioner like a therapist or psychiatrist, you can browse the document, you can book an appointment, you can have a chit chat with them and try to vent out over them. And I will now open this entire session for me to take questions.
The audience can post their questions in the Q&A section. So Lionel, let's wait for a couple of minutes, and if there are no questions, then we can wrap it up.
Sure.
So, Lionel, we have a couple of questions. Can you please take those?
Yeah. So how to deal with something you know about your close one, but you can't reveal to anyone as it might ruin everything. Okay. Um, this question I don't really have a proper answer to it because I think so. This question would be better be able to answered by someone or maybe a therapist or something over there because they also need to go into depth like what exactly it is about and what exactly it is about and how that can be uh, done from that aspect over there. How to handle stress related to project. Okay. So when you talk about stress related to project, the first thing first is it depends upon what you need to look at why are you feeling stressed about the project. Are you feeling the stress because you are not able to grasp the entire thing about the project or maybe there's something you're not. So let us say for example you have joined uh, maybe you joined a SOC and you just started on the SOC thing. You need to learn about the SOPs, you need to learn about the procedures and the way the systems and all. One way the stress can be there is if you may not know the total part of the project, you may not know ins and outs of the project or how things work, how things not work. In that case, you need to explore like the entire project as a whole, what can be done inside of it, what needs to be learned about it, if you need to have a knowledge transfer done from other members in the team or what over there. Second thing is that uh, when you look at project related stress, we do have clients sitting on our heads asking us to do things at very insane type of times, or maybe they want a report to be submitted early or maybe quick or not. This sort of thing you can reach out if you're having these sort of issues like this where the clients are being very uh, demanding about certain things. I would really suggest that you reach out to your RM in the project or your project lead and try to have these things iron out much more better to see how it can be handled very swiftly and tactfully over there. Also, from stress related to projects, I would also say is that if you let us say, for example, if you're doing something like VAPT over there and you're testing out a website and you're not able to find some sort of vulnerabilities or you're not able to do a proper testing over there, it's all right. It's okay. Uh, Try to spend as much time as you can possible. Try to understand the web application. Try to understand the environment, and you keep on learning. As I said, learning is an evolving experience. Right now, when you join into a project, you may not know that much about it, but as you spend more and more time with it, as you go ahead with the project, you'll obviously learn more things about it over there, which will help you to better cope up with it. If you are, as I said before, if you are doing something that is repetitive, if you're having to fill maybe some Excel sheets a lot, documentation and there a lot, try to find somewhere to get it automated. Obviously, I don't want people to be filling up Excel sheet after Excel sheets, or creating reports in Excel sheets, or creating reports in different other format to give to a client over there. Um, if you're given a new role and you're struggling to handle that role but can't explain to any other, how do you handle that situation? Okay. One is that when you're given a new role, you can talk with somebody else about it. You can talk to your RM about it, and this I say like it is okay that you reach out to your RM. It is okay that you reach out to somebody in another project and talk with them. So if you have a friend in another project, you can reach out to them, talk with them, understand how they are handling the things over there. How are they handling the entire role? What are they doing over there? You can also go one up above. So if you're, let us say, for example, as if you're leading a project and you have some maybe a manager above and above, like a delivery manager or something, you're welcome to reach out to them and ask them for advice over there. Uh, So, so these are different things. As I said, you need to initiate a conversation. It is never a thing that we can't explain to anyone. We just need to start that simple initiative or that simple way of just starting a conversation. Once you start a conversation, when you start talking about it, it becomes very easy over there. And because you know about the project and you know about the role, you definitely know who you can talk to about it. If there may be some sort of senior, or maybe there's some sort of ex member on the team, you can always reach out to them and talk with them about it. How to handle that situation also, I would also suggest uh, I would also suggest that we have these sort of grooming sessions, so where the HR team has these sort of sessions where uh, managerial type of skills are imparted to people who are taking for becoming project leads or becoming RMs. So those sort of sessions need to be conducted in the organization.
Okay, so I guess we don't have any more questions. So maybe we can close the webinar now. Thank you everyone for attending the webinar. I hope you guys got some insights regarding the mental health and the work-life balance. And thank you so much, Lionel, for giving us so much of information. And I'm sure we'll all be benefiting from it.
Absolutely welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Stay
Thank you,
safe.
everyone.
Take
Stay
care.
safe. Take care. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.